The lab was cold. Bright lights shined from above. Everything was clean, silver, and quiet. In the center of the room, a glass tube stood tall. Inside it floated a human. The alien scientists stood around the tube. Their skin was pale blue, their eyes large and dark. They wore white coats and spoke in low voices. Dr. Zarnix, the lead scientist, stepped closer. He stared at the human with deep curiosity. "Is he still alive?" one assistant asked. Zarnix nodded slowly. "Yes. He survived the crash. His bones were broken, his lungs were filled with smoke, but look at him now." They all looked. The human's wounds were healing, his broken bones were straight again. Cuts on his skin were closing. The bruises were fading. "This is impossible," whispered another assistant. "He should be dead." Zarnix's eyes narrowed. "That's the problem. He's human." 3 days ago, the human ship crashed on the moon world Galax 9. The ship was a burning wreck. No other survivors. But the aliens found one man among the debris, badly injured, but still breathing. They brought him here to study. Humans were rare in this part of the galaxy. Most aliens thought they were weak, emotional creatures, but now this human was proving them wrong. Zarnix walked to the control panel. "Let's test the limits." The assistant looked unsure. "You want to hurt him more?" Zarnix didn't answer. He pressed a button. A small needle came out from the side of the glass tube. It pushed into the human's neck and injected a green liquid. "Poison X-17, Zarnix said calmly. "It kills most species in seconds." The assistants waited. The human twitched. His eyes fluttered. Sweat covered his face. His breathing got heavy. But after a few minutes, he calmed down again. The machine beeped. Vitals stable. Poison neutralized. Gasps filled the room. "This is insane," a young alien scientist whispered. "How is this possible?" Zarnix looked like he had seen a ghost. "What the hell is wrong with human biology?" Later that night, the lab was quiet. But Zarnix couldn't sleep. He sat at his desk, staring at the human's data. Body temperature, healing rate, blood tests, it all made no sense. "He heals like a god," he muttered. "Pain seems to make him stronger. This shouldn't happen in nature." He clicked open a file. Project 03H Human Trials. Zarnix wrote into the log. Subject 03H continues to resist injury and poison. Immune system adapts within minutes. Tissue regenerates unnaturally fast. Recommend deeper testing. He stared at the screen, then at the human's still body behind the glass. "I will find out your secret," he whispered. The next morning, the human opened his eyes. The assistant screamed and ran to alert Zarnix. He came rushing in. The human was sitting inside the tube looking around. His eyes were sharp. His body, once broken, now looked strong again. "He's awake," one assistant said. "What should we do?" Zarnix stepped forward. "Can you understand me?" The human looked straight at him. "Yes, where am I?" "You're safe," Zarnix lied. "We are studying you. You've been through a lot." The human narrowed his eyes. "I remember the crash fire. Then, your people pulled me out." Zarnix nodded. "You're lucky to be alive." The human smirked. "No, I'm just human." That one line made Zarnix shiver. It was not spoken with pride but with warning. Later, when the human was sleeping again, Zarnix spoke to his team. "We are dealing with something rare. His body is not just strong, it's designed for survival. Pain, poison, pressure, nothing is stopping him." "But should we be afraid?" one assistant asked. Zarnix didn't blink. "Yes, if one human can do this, imagine what their armies are like." In the lab, the human stirred again. His name was Eli. A soldier, a survivor, and now, something more. As he lay inside the glass tube, he whispered to himself, "They think I don't know what they're doing, but I hear them. They want to test me, they think I'm just a lab rat." His fists clenched. They have no idea what a cornered human can do. Outside the tube, alarms suddenly blinked. The monitors beeped. Something was changing inside. Eli! His heart rate just spiked, shouted an assistant. Zarnik stepped forward. No, he said. He's waking up again. And this time, he's angry. The healing that shouldn't exist. The alarm was still ringing. Lights flashed red. Across the alien lab, scientists ran across the room, staring at the screen above the human's chamber. Inside the glass tube, Eli was awake, and something was very wrong. His body temperature is rising, a lab assistant shouted. Blood pressure too high, another said. It should kill him, but it didn't. Eli was sitting up, breathing slow and deep like he was meditating, but inside his body was burning like fire. His blood cells were moving faster than any known species. His white blood cells were attacking something. Dr. Zarnix rushed in and froze. He shouldn't be alive, he whispered. Just hours before, Zarnix had done the unthinkable. He had injected Eli with a living virus, black rot, a biological weapon that wiped out the Frinxie race in less than 10 hours. It had no cure, no survivor. Not even the toughest alien bodies could fight it. But now this human was sweating it out like a mild fever. Zarnix stared, speechless. How? Eli's eyes slowly opened. He looked straight at the mirror where the scientist stood behind the glass wall. He couldn't see them, but he knew they were there. He smiled. Then he stood up. No, an assistant cried. He should be in a coma. Zarnix couldn't take his eyes off him. He is the cure. Inside the control room, the aliens argued. This human must be part machine, one said. No, machine heals like this, said another. His body rewrote the virus code. What if Earth is hiding something? A younger scientist asked. What if all humans can do this? Zarnix stayed silent. His mind was racing. He opened Eli's files again. There was no genetic editing, no implants, no nanobots. Everything in Eli's body was natural. Meanwhile, Eli leaned against the glass wall of his chamber. His muscles ached, but they were healing. His mind was sharp again. His memories were returning. He remembered the fire, the crash, the black sky. He remembered being dragged away while half awake. Needles, pain, voices speaking in another language, and now, this place. He had been a soldier, trained to survive. But this was different. Now he was something else. Back in the lab, Zarnix had an idea. If we can harvest just one drop of his blood, he said, we can study the healing factor. But what if it spreads? A scientist asked. That kind of power, it doesn't belong to us. Zarnix's face turned cold. I don't care. This is the greatest discovery in our galaxy. And I will unlock it. He tapped the screen. Prepare. The surgical arm. Eli heard the machine activate. A needle slowly descended from above inside the chamber. He watched it. Then, he looked down at his arm. The veins were glowing faintly blue from the virus still fighting inside him, and losing. The needle pierced his skin. His blood flowed into the chamber's tube. And something strange happened. The blood didn't just sit there. It moved. Like it was alive, it swirled, boiled, shimmered. It began eating through the tube. Abort the test, someone yelled. Zarnix backed away in horror. The blood melted the collection unit, then stopped. It cooled, then turned solid. Did his blood just defend itself? One voice whispered. Eli stood still. But his body wasn't normal anymore. The virus had changed him. Or maybe his body had changed the virus. Either way, he felt different. His hands were warmer. His mind sharper. He could hear things on the other side of the wall. He could smell the fear outside his chamber. And he knew now he wasn't just a survivor. He was a threat. Zarnix stared at the sealed glass tube. He is not human anymore. One of the young assistants whispered, What if he's the next stage of evolution? Zarnix shook his head. No, he's something worse. He is proof that human biology is not natural. It's a weapon. He opened a file on his screen and sent a message to the Galactic Science Council. Warning: do not engage with human species. They do not obey natural law. Their bodies fight death. Inside the chamber, Eli pressed his hand against the glass. A crack formed. He smiled again. You wanted a test subject, he whispered, but you created a nightmare. The crack in the glass grew longer. It spread like a lightning bolt across the transparent wall of Eli's chamber. The alien scientists stood frozen. No one spoke. No one moved. Inside the tank, Eli stood calmly. He didn't scream. He didn't shout. He simply looked awake, focused, alive. Then he said just 2 words. I remember. In the control room, panic spread like fire. Seal the doors, shouted one assistant. Evacuate Sector 7, another cried. Zarnix didn't move. His 4 fingers tightened on the desk. He was unconscious for 4 days, he muttered. His brain activity was low. He shouldn't remember anything. But Eli remembered everything. He remembered the crash, the cold alien hands pulling him from the wreckage, the needles, the cold fluid in his spine, the sound of bones snapping as they ran their tests. Most of all, he remembered their laughter when he screamed. The glass exploded. Shards flew across the room. A fog of broken tech and vapor filled the air. Eli stepped out of the chamber, barefoot, shirtless, steam rising from his skin. Every camera focused on him. Every alien froze. One tried to speak. Subject 03H. Eli raised his hand. I have a name. It's Eli Voss. I'm not your subject. I'm not your pet. He grabbed the nearest steel bar from a smashed control unit and bent it in half. Zarnix hit the red emergency alarm. Guards ran in, armed with pulse rifles and shock sticks. Big, tall creatures from the Zarn race, tough warriors. They rushed at Eli. He didn't run. He didn't hide. The first guard jabbed him in the side with a shock. Stick! Eli screamed, not in pain but in rage. He grabbed the stick and slammed it against the guard's helmet. Sparks flew. Then he turned to the others. I was kind. I was patient. I gave you time to stop. He raised the shock stick and charged. Outside, the chamber hall's young lab assistants watched the monitors. A tall, silver-skinned girl named Nari, barely 17 galactic years old, whispered in shock. He's fighting 5 guards, with nothing. The others stared in silence. One whispered, he's not fighting like a soldier. No, said Nari, voice shaking. He's fighting like someone who remembers pain. Zarnix ran to the top-level observation deck, breathing hard. He activated. The lockdown, steel doors slammed shut. Lasers blocked escape paths. But Eli kept coming. Bleeding, yes. Bruised, yes. But faster than before. Stronger than before. Like every hit made him tougher. Zarnix stared at the footage and gasped. He's adapting again, in real time. In the shadows of the medical sector, Eli stumbled upon holding room 12. A locked glass cell. Inside were alien children, weak, sick, thin. One little girl looked up. Her skin was dark purple. Her arms were thin as wires. Her eyes were large and wet. She reached out a hand. You're human, she whispered. Eli stepped closer. You're a prisoner? She nodded. They said we were mistakes, failed experiments, but they kept us alive for more testing. Eli knelt beside the glass and pressed his palm to it. No more tests, he said. I'll get you out. Alarms wailed again. Eli knew he had minutes before more guards arrived. He smashed open the door. One by one, he lifted the children. Some couldn't walk. Others were too afraid. But they followed him, because, in that moment, the human was the only one who wasn't wearing a mask, the only one who didn't treat them like freaks. Back at the lab's command center, Zarnix received a message from the High Council. Zarnix, your subject is now classified as a level red biological threat. You are ordered to terminate him immediately. Zarnix's hands trembled. He opened a secret vault. Inside was a weapon, One he had hoped never to use, a mind shredder. Illegal, painful, deadly. He loaded it with trembling fingers. As Eli led the children through a dark hallway, he paused. He heard it. The sound of footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Zarnik stepped out from the shadows, weapon in hand. I warned them, he said. I told them your kind was dangerous. Eli stood in front of the children. You tortured me, and now you want to destroy me? Zarnix raised the weapon. You were never meant to survive. Your biology, it's unnatural. Eli took a deep breath. No, my biology is human, and that's what you'll never understand. The weapon fired, but it didn't hit Eli because the girl from the cell, Nari, jumped between them. The blast hit her instead. She fell. Eli screamed, then everything changed. His body ignited with white-hot rage. His eyes burned red. His muscles surged. He was no longer fighting to escape. He was fighting for every prisoner in that lab. Nari's body hit the floor with a soft thud. She didn't scream. She just collapsed. Everything went silent. Eli stood still. Too still. The alien children behind him gasped. One reached for his hand. Is she gone? No answer. His fists clenched. Veins pulsed under his skin, glowing faint red. His breathing grew heavier, deeper, not with fear, but with fury. The temperature in the corridor rose. Lights on the wall began to flicker. The air itself started to hum. Zarnix took a step back. What? What is he doing? One of the lab scanners beeped wildly. Warning. Unknown biological response detected genetic pattern shifting cortex R gene. Activating. Zarnix's eyes widened. No. That gene is just a theory. It's not real. It was never real. But it was real, and it had just woken up. The cortex R gene had no name in human science. It was a deep buried part of the human genome. Dormant. Silent. But always watching. It activated only in one situation. When the body was on the edge of total loss. When grief met rage. When survival needed something more than strength. It was not a weapon. It was a warning. Eli's spine cracked. Muscles swelled. Not unnaturally, but powerfully. The pain that had lived inside him. 4 days of needles, burns, broken ribs, injections, viruses. All of it transformed. Transformed into something pure. Rage. He stepped forward. Zarnix raised. The mind shredder again. Eli didn't even flinch. He grabbed it midair and crushed it in his hand. Zarnix screamed. That's not possible. Your bones should be dust. Eli's voice was low. Dangerous. You tested my limits. Now let's test. Yours. With one punch, the steel door behind Zarnix flew off its hinges. The alien doctor stumbled, barely escaping the blow. Eli turned to the kids. Hide. Stay together. I'll end this. Then he ran, not from the lab, but straight into it. Back, at the control center, alien soldiers were arming themselves. Weapons on maximum. No stun shots, the commander ordered. Shoot to kill. They waited. Nervous, breathing fast. Then the doors opened. But not by Eli. They were blown off their hinges. Smoke filled the room. A figure walked out of the mist, eyes glowing. Skin, bleeding, but healing. The soldiers opened fire. Blasts of energy lit the room. But Eli didn't fall. He didn't even slow down. He moved through it, slamming one guard into a wall, throwing another through a table, ripping a shock cannon out of one's hand and snapping it like a toy. This wasn't human combat. This was revenge made flesh. Zarnix watched through the cameras, whispering in horror. He was made to survive anything. But we awakened something, deeper. Something older than science. His assistant trembled. Then what is he? Zarnix answered with dread. He is human anger, living, breathing, evolving in front of our eyes. Back in the chamber, Eli finally reached the heart of the lab, the DNA room. This is where they stored the samples. The organs. The stolen blood. The copies. One vial sat in the center, glowing blue. Human origin. Sample, HFY. He picked it up. This was the source of their obsession. He looked around at the massive databanks, memories of screams, of needles, of Nari's last breath. Then, he smashed the vial. He raised his fist and destroyed everything. Flames burst from the machines, files deleted, test subjects erased, all of it, gone in seconds. He fell to his knees, gasping. Then a small hand touched his shoulder. It was the purple-skinned child from earlier. She's still breathing, she whispered. Eli's eyes widened. Nari? He stood up, ran. Back in the hallway, Nari lay still. Her pulse was faint. But there, Eli dropped beside her. You're going to be okay, he said softly. She smiled weakly. You're really not normal, he chuckled through bloody teeth. Nope, not even close. Behind them, the lab burned. Zarnix escaped in a panic pod, screaming into a recording device. Do not approach humans again. Their rage is alive. Their pain is power. What we tried to control now controls us. Back on the surface of Galax 9, the alien children followed Eli through the ruins. No guards, no cages, just stars above. Eli looked up. He wasn't just a soldier anymore. He was proof that humanity wasn't dangerous because of weapons, but because when you take everything from them, they rise stronger. The fires of the lab still burned behind them. Ash rained from the sky like gray snow. Machines melted. Screams faded. The building that once held experiments, cages, and pain was now falling apart. Eli walked through it all like a storm had passed, and he was that storm. But something new waited ahead. Something the aliens never planned to reveal. Deep inside a locked underground vault, a signal began to blink. A chamber door hissed open, releasing cold steam. Inside stood a girl. She was not human, and not alien either. She was both. Skin like moonlight. Eyes like earth sky. Hair with streaks of silver and black. She looked no older than 17. She opened her eyes and whispered one word. Father. Above, Eli stopped walking. He felt something. Not pain. Not rage. Something calling him. His body turned before his mind did. His feet moved. He walked toward the old West Wing, a part of the lab he had never entered. Children behind him asked, "Where are you going?" He only answered, "Someone's waiting." Zarnix had lied. This wasn't just about studying human biology. No, he had used Eli's blood for something worse. Project Sira, a hybrid, grown in a tank, raised in silence, trained in shadows. She was never told where she came from, only that her body was special, that her mind must be sharp, that pain was normal. But deep inside her chest, she always felt something was missing. Until now. Until the fire. Until that rage reached her bones. She looked at her hand, glowing with faint red veins, and she whispered again, "Father, you're here." Eli entered the old wing. Dust floated in the air like ghosts. He passed empty cages, failed test chambers. Then he found a door, marked only with a red symbol. X1. He opened it slowly and saw her. She turned. They stared at each other. Neither spoke. She stepped forward. Slowly, carefully, then very softly she said, "My name is Sira. They made me from you." Eli didn't blink. He had fought monsters, faced death, burned with anger. But now, he didn't know what to feel. His voice cracked. "You're my daughter?" She smiled gently. "I don't know what a daughter means. But when the fire started, my body changed. My mind screamed. I felt your heartbeat. I followed it." Eli took a slow step toward her. "You shouldn't be here," he whispered. "They used you. You're just a—" Sira raised a hand. Energy sparked in her fingers. I'm not just anything. She looked into his eyes. I'm human, too. Above them, Zarnix's escape pod sent one last signal to the planetary defense system. Hybrid 01 and Human 03H have merged. Activate. Fallback protocol. Kill them both. Outside, the sky lit up. From orbit, an alien hunter drone began to descend. Fast. It was built for one thing, wiping out anything the lab couldn't control. And now it was heading straight for Eli and Sierra. Sierra looked up. She knew. They're coming to kill us. Eli nodded. Then we do what humans always do. She tilted her head. What's that? We fight back. The hunter drone landed, like a meteor shaking the earth. It stood taller than both of them combined. 6 legs, cannons on both shoulders, laser eyes, target locked. Warning, DNA merge detected. Termination in process. The first shot fired. Eli shoved Sierra aside. The blast tore through the ground. Dust flew, smoke followed. Sierra rolled to her feet. Don't protect me, she snapped. I was made for this. Then something happened. Sierra's skin shimmered. Her bones cracked but didn't break. Her arms glowed with energy like Eli's did in the lab. She sprinted toward the drone, fast, light, deadly. Eli followed close behind. Father. And hybrid daughter. One made by nature, one made by science, both shaped by pain. They hit the drone like a storm. Eli tore off a leg. Sierra leapt onto its back and blasted the sensor core. It screamed. It fell, but not before launching one last missile. Eli saw it coming and jumped in front of Sierra. The blast threw him far. Sierra ran to him, dust choking the air. His body was smoking, bleeding, but still alive. Barely. Don't you die, she whispered. Not now. Not after finding me. Eli opened one eye and smiled weakly. You hit that thing like a warrior. She nodded. Like a Voss. They both laughed. Tired, but alive. High above, Zarnix watched the drone go offline. He stared at the screen. They survived again, he whispered to himself. What the hell are they? The wind blew cold ash across the broken lab ruins. Eli lay on the ground, chest rising slowly. His body was torn, his skin burned from the drone's final blast. He didn't cry. He didn't scream, but his strength was fading. Sierra knelt beside him, her glowing hands trembling. Stay awake, she whispered. You're not allowed to die, not now. Eli tried to smile, but it hurt too much. You've got your mother's fire, he said. Sierra paused. I don't have a mother. Eli closed his eyes briefly. Maybe not in the lab, but you have one in your blood. She was brave, she was loud, and she would have loved you. A soft beeping sound echoed from the sky. Sierra stood. She saw it. 3 more hunter drones, black as night, descending fast. Zarnix had done it. He had activated. Protocol 0. If the experiment couldn't be controlled, it would be erased. Not just Eli and Sierra, but all the alien children still hiding in the forest ruins. Sierra clenched her fists. No. She turned to Eli. They don't want you. They want your blood. They think it's the cure. But it's not just blood. She touched her chest. It's you. Far away in orbit, Zarnix appeared on every drone's display screen. Sierra, this is your creator speaking. You are not meant to feel. You are not meant to love. Return now and we will save the human. Run. And he dies. Sierra stared up at the glowing screens, then she shouted, You never created me. He did. The drones activated weapons. She had seconds. Sierra turned back to Eli, now barely breathing. I'm not going to run. I'm going to end this. Eli coughed. Don't do it. For me. But she shook her head. I'm doing it because of you. She turned to the ruins of the lab and sprinted, straight into the smoke. Deep inside, where the DNA core once stood, lay Prototype 0, a forbidden power source. A drop of Eli's blood had been combined with dark matter. Too unstable, too deadly. It was locked away. But now, it was the only chance. Sierra reached the vault. Her palm opened it without resistance. Inside glowed a black crystal, pulsing like a heartbeat. A message blinked. Warning. Energy core may bond with host. Do not touch. Sierra didn't hesitate. She picked it up. Pain stabbed through her arm. Fire raced through her veins. Her scream echoed across the ruined lab. Outside, the hunter drones landed. The alien children huddled behind rocks and trees. The machines raised their cannons. Then the sky cracked. Wave of energy exploded from the lab ruins. Red lightning, black mist. A sound like 1,000 voices whispering at once. Sierra stepped out, but she was different now. Her eyes were pure light. Her hair flowed like flame. The energy core pulsed in her chest. She wasn't just a hybrid anymore. She was a living weapon. The drones scanned her. Unidentified entity. Threat level, unknown. One drone fired. She raised a hand. The missile froze in the air and shattered. Another drone charged. Sierra blinked and reappeared behind it. She ripped its core out with her bare hands. One by one, she brought them down. Fast, precise, unstoppable. Zarnik screamed from his command pod. This isn't science. This is madness. But no one answered him, not even the machines. He watched helplessly as Sierra raised her arms and unleashed a shockwave that erased the last drone from the sky. Then she collapsed to her knees. Smoke curled from her body. Her skin cracked with light. The power was too much. Eli dragged himself toward her. He crawled across broken stone and ash, blood leaking from his mouth. He finally reached her. His fingers brushed hers. She looked up at him, blinking through tears. I stopped. Them? He nodded. You did good, kid. She laughed softly. I'm not a kid, I'm a bomb. Eli coughed again. Then let me carry it. Sierra shook her head. No, I can hold it. For a few minutes more. But then it'll explode. And if I'm near anyone. Eli looked around. The children were watching from a distance. They were safe, but not if she lost control. She stood slowly. Take them, she said. Get them off this moon. Eli held her hand. You don't have to die. Tears rolled down her glowing cheeks. I've only been alive a few days, but because of you, those days mattered. And then, the ground rumbled. A ship appeared over the trees. A smuggler-class vessel, old, rusty but alive. One of the alien children had secretly activated an SOS beacon. Sierra smiled weakly. Looks like I bought you just enough time. Eli held her tight. But the light in her chest grew brighter. Time was up. The ship hovered above the burning lab ruins. Its engines roared, kicking up dust and broken metal. A ramp lowered. The alien children rushed aboard, led by frightened scientists who had changed sides after seeing Eli fight. Not like a monster, but like a father. But Eli wasn't on the ship. He stood at the edge of the landing zone, staring into the heart of the smoke. Sierra was still there, glowing, dying, or maybe becoming something more. Inside her chest, the black crystal pulsed faster and faster. Her hands trembled. Energy leaked from her fingers like lightning searching for a place to strike. She looked at Eli with wide, scared eyes. I can't hold it, she whispered. It's going to blow. Eli didn't move. He took one slow step forward, then another. Then he wrapped his arms around her. I'm right here, he said. You don't have to hold it alone. From above, the ship's pilot shouted. They'll die. The blast will level half the forest. The other children watched from the doorway, holding on to each other. One small voice whispered, Why doesn't he run? Another answered, Because he's human. Sierra's light got brighter. Her voice cracked. Why are you doing this? Eli's reply was simple. Because you're mine. Tears ran down her face, burning like fire. No one ever said that to me before. Far in orbit, Zarnix, watching from a distant escape station, was recording. His hands shook as he spoke, into the mic. Subject Eero 3H has entered the blast radius of Hybrid 01. Estimated death in 15 seconds. He had time to escape. He didn't. Why? Why would he choose to die? He paused. His voice broke. What the hell is a human? Down below, the ground rumbled. Birds fled from the trees. Old ruins shook. Lights exploded across the sky. And then, silence. The ship's crew waited. 10 seconds. 20. 1 full minute. No blast. No fire. Just stillness. Then, movement. A figure walked out of the dust. No. 2 figures. It was Eli. And in his arms, Sira. Her. Light had faded. The crystal had cracked. But they were both alive. The alien children ran to them, shouting and crying. Eli smiled. Weak but proud. She stabilized the energy, he said. Used it to protect us all. She chose life. Sira blinked, dazed. I didn't do it alone. He looked at her. No. You did it as something they never expected. She tilted her head. What? Eli grinned. A human. The ship took off. As it rose through the clouds, Eli sat beside Sira, a blanket over her shoulders. He looked at the stars. So many wars, so many species, so much pride. But in the end, it wasn't power that changed everything, it was choice. One choice to protect, one choice to stay, one choice to say, I'm not giving up. Back on the ruined planet, Zarnik stood alone in his cold escape pod. He watched the last footage again. Eli. Holding Sira. The light. The silence. The impossible survival. And for the first time in his life, he felt something strange in his chest. He placed a hand over his heart and whispered, What kind of creature hugs death and tells it to wait? No answer. Only the stars. Final log entry. Do not provoke the humans. Do not test their limits. Their biology is a mystery. But their hearts, that's where their true weapon lies. Eli leaned back in the ship seat as it jumped into hyperspace. Sira leaned against him, eyes closed. Hey, she said softly. Yeah? What happens? Now? He looked down at her and smiled. Now, we live.